So we're going to first induct Jerome Dubois, class of '96, co-founder of Six River Systems, 6RS. Currently, as a result, he's the vice president of Shopify Logistics. 6RS was acquired by Shopify 2 years ago, I think, $450 million. Prior to that, he was on the leadership team for Kiva Systems that was acquired by Amazon for $775 million. Numerous contributions back to the community, but the most impressive one that jumped out, which is why it's here, is over 18 Pan Mass Challenge bike rides, which is an endurance. So, Jerome, welcome. Yeah, we'll do one afterwards. Perfect.
All right, Ian, thank you. I saw the award and the shape of the award and kind of chuckled because I thought you named it after Six River Systems, since we're a water-based robotics company. But regardless, thank you, Ian, and for inviting me to participate in this, and congratulations to the other nominees. It's an honor to be here with all of you tonight in this class, as well as all the other participants and entrepreneurs who have done their amazing work throughout their career. Ian, you did say this is not Academy Awards. It's totally great. I get it. So today we were asked to prepare a few words regarding two questions: the problem that we see in the world today, and what can UNH do to help solve that problem. Well, to give you some context, the formative years of my life were actually spent just a few minutes from here in a little town called Barrington, New Hampshire. I grew up on a farm and went to high school at St. Thomas Aquinas High School just down the street in Dover. And I think my life would be considered highly atypical today, but even 30 years ago, it was quite unusual. I'd have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, take care of the horses and all that kind of good stuff. We were also a first-generation immigrant family from France, and my parents didn't know anything about academics or athletics or anything like that here in the States. And I really relied on learning from my friends, from advisors through school, and research. Thankfully, UNH was in my backyard because during my unexpectedly short conversation with my father about my college education during my early senior year of high school, my father announced it was either Ivy League or Durham. Well, I didn't have the grades to get into the Ivy Leagues at that point, and I certainly wasn't going to SAT my way into them. So thankfully, Durham was here, and I made a quick home here at UNH. And frankly, here I am still. So the lesson here was really, it's about the direct and honest feedback that I received from my father, with an acute awareness of what was possible, served as a good foundation for me later in life. Though it kind of sucked in the moment to get that feedback. I'll share with you a quick anecdote that reinforced this, and it leads into what UNH I think can do to help with the problem that we have today, which is this false sense of confidence and sometimes entitlement that we find in folks that are thinking about going down the entrepreneurial path, but generally going into the workforce today. When I was finishing my last rounds of finals at mechanical engineering here in the fall of '96, I had a wonderful professor who I just learned recently retired. Professor Rob Swift was my professor and faculty advisor. I spent a lot of time with Professor Swift. I made a lot of mistakes with Professor Swift, but he taught me a very similar life lesson. I was applying to grad schools, actually business schools, and I knew I was going to be a terrible engineer, so I was going to go into business school. Though I worked incredibly hard to prove to everyone, including myself, that I could do engineering, I knew that that wasn't my calling. And Professor Swift at the time taught a class called Advanced Solid Mechanics, and he taught it to graduate students and PhD students. And I decided to challenge myself that fall semester. It was my last semester at school, and I said, I'm going to sign up for this class. Also from the encouragement of my good friend and longtime academic nemesis who had aced all his classes, and I was struggling to really get my GPA above a 3.0. So I went into that final having studied. It was one of my last finals, and I outperformed my close friend and competitor and brainiac of the class. I actually outperformed him by 2 points in the final. It was the proudest engineering moment that I ever had. However, after that final, I was disappointed to see my final grade in the class was a B. Now, a B is not terrible in an engineering course, of course. It's not terrible in any course, but I was really kind of disappointed after putting all that effort in. And my cumulative GPA graduating was a 2.98. Now, that came from a sub 2 my freshman year in business school, and I transferred to engineering, so I had to work my way up to a near 3-point GPA. But regardless, the point was that I went to go see Professor Swift because I was really worried about my applications for graduate school, and I went to go talk to him. And I was just shy of that 3.0 that I really thought I needed to be able to get to some of these schools. And I knocked on the door, and he used to have an office right across from the computer labs in Kingsbury. And I said, listen, Professor Swift, can we talk about this grade here? I'm trying to understand what happened. And he sat me down. He said, of course we can talk about it. And he opened up his grade book. At the time, it was a grade book, right? You opened it up. And he said, well, according to my grade book notes, assignment 4 was a 3-problem assignment. And you only completed the first of those 3 problems. Now, just like everybody else, I was busy. I decided not to put all the time and effort in. He said, Jerome, you didn't even do anything for problems 2 and 3. Not a single thing. So you got a 1 out of 3 on that homework assignment. Had you put anything down on problems 2 and 3, I would have given you partial credit. And that partial credit would have gotten you from a B to a B+, and from a 2.98 to over a 3.0. That was a life lesson. The life lesson there was effectively, I had run out of time on my busy schedule, and had I just put the effort in, just put in the extra 5 or 10 minutes or hour to put something down on paper, he would have given me a response to that, and he would have acknowledged that effort, and that would have given me the credit that I needed to get to that precious score that I thought was so important. So he said, you didn't put the effort in, so I didn't give you the grade, and you're not going to get the grade. And that's how the conversation went in his office. It was honest, direct feedback, and something that I needed at that time. I took that lesson to heart, and it was one of the most impactful lessons of my career. And those 2 conversations motivated me to work harder and to give it that last bit of energy, because you never know when it will matter. I wasn't the brightest in the room, but I knew I could out-hustle and outwork just about everybody else, and that proved true in graduate school. It proved true in business as well. I got very, very lucky along the way, and we talked about some of that when we were with the students earlier, but the plan worked, and I'm here with you tonight because of that hustle. How can UNH help? Stay authentic and be real, please. Focus on helping the professors. Please focus on helping our students learn through adversity rather than cheat their way through false compliments and praise. Encourage professors, all of you in the academia, please encourage your professors to provide real, actionable feedback to the students by getting to know their constituents, by getting to understand what motivates the students and spending time with them. Our life has limits, but how we live does not. By setting the bar high and encouraging excellence, we will create a generation of entrepreneurs who will fully embrace the challenge and understand what it takes to succeed, rather than run from it at the sign of first resistance or failure. Our world will be that much better a place for it. So, that's it. Thank you.